Coming up on today's show, most of you in the plastics industry are familiar with the supply chain of the products that you purchase in order to make the goods that you sell. But how many of you are aware of the supply chain if you drill down a few more steps? Well, let's learn together. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Kurt Stahle, that plastics guy. If you're new to the show, this is where I share my almost 4 decades of plastics industry experience with you. I'll educate, interview, share case studies, showcase innovative products, and always discuss the topics and trends that affect our industry. Today's podcast is sponsored by Toray, compounders of nylon, PBT, and ABS, as well as distributors of multiple variants of ABS for a wide range of applications. Toray is part of the dynamic line of polymers, colorants, additives, functional master batches, and purge compounds that are sold across Canada by my company, Simcoe Plastics Limited, where we truly have a passion for polymers. You can visit us at simcoeplastics.com or contact us at info@simcoeplastics.com. You know, we owe so much of our modern life to highly engineered building blocks that we use to create materials, that we use to create the products that we consume on a daily basis. Much in the same way that our favorite recipes contain multiple ingredients, and many of those ingredients are made up of different ingredients themselves, so are the various plastic modifiers, which include but are not limited to color pigments, UV additives, and other ingredients. To speak about this, I am pleased to welcome Brett Minken from Andicor Specialty Chemicals to the show to talk about their product offerings and how important these things are to the products that we make and use on a daily basis. Brett, thank you so much for joining me, and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to participate in the podcast.
Cool. Well, why don't you tell us not only about Andicor, but when we met, you shared a little bit of your own plastics industry experience. So why don't you give us a breakdown on, what your background is and how you got to Andicor and what Andicor is, and maybe a little bit of the company history.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kurt. Well, I've been selling in the chemicals industry now for about 24 years. My first sales job in chemicals was in 2001. A small company that is with a trading company of chemicals. And that territory was mainly metal finishing chemicals. But my first plastic sales position was a couple of years later with a distributor at a territory selling resins, selling master batch, basically. So that's where I learned about the industry. They invested basically in some plastics education for me. The marketing director there that took me under his wing as well, and kind of went through, basically gave me a full plastics 101, and then that was followed up by the course at Humber College at the time. So I learned a lot, and I got to know a lot of people in the industry over the few years I worked for them. After that, I was out of the industry for a few years, still in chemicals, but first kind of selling inks, and then selling sort of coatings type chemicals for another distributor. I joined Andicor in 2009, and that's where I started being involved in the plastics industry again. First with just with my sales territory, and then with product management responsibilities a few years after that, so I continue that hybrid role today. But yeah, I'll give you a bit of background about Andicor. So we were founded by the original business partners in the company, Steve Waters, John Rolleveld, and Ron Jerome, in 2002. They had worked together previously in the industry, and had a lot of contacts, and there were some suppliers at the time that were keen for them to start a company and to work with them. So the business for the first 20 years or so of the company was actually evenly split between specialty chemicals, obviously the side that I'm still involved in,
Mm-hmm.
and also rigid container distribution. They were the master distributor for one of the large manufacturers of steel, plastic, and tin containers. Basically, everything from like little adhesive tins and paint cans, steel and plastic pails, drums,
Okay.
totes, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Um, that business continued with us until 2022. But back to the side that's interesting to yourself and your listeners.
Right.
Our one of our original suppliers and current suppliers is Bergen International, they're a chemical foaming agent supplier, and they've been a great and supportive supplier throughout the sort of duration of the business. Still work with them today, and we've been growing their business nicely in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Andicor, I guess, so going back to the history of the company, we joined Responsible Distribution Canada, which was the CACD at the time, in 2005. And the company is still a very active member in that organization. We have the RDC Responsible Care certification, which is renewed every few years, and so on. So that's something that our customers seem to appreciate, and we sort of tout that regularly to them. As the company has grown, employees have been added to the company, of course. Initially started with just the business partners, and then people started to join the company. A salesperson in Ontario in the early years. Our Western and in Quebec, 2006, our Western sales manager joined the company. He was based in Vancouver, basically covered the patch from Vancouver through to Winnipeg, came to us from another chemical distribution business. And in the West, our current rep out there and his predecessor cover plastics along with all the other industries. I joined Andicor in 2009. And my territory, kind of as I already discussed, was a combination of, it was plastics, but also combined with some general industrial type accounts too, right. Coatings, right. Adhesives, and that. And I still call on kind of a mixed territory, but with kind of plastics being a key part of it. It's in 2011, we expanded into the consumer care market. We have a business manager who handles that side of the business, a couple of a sales rep that exclusively works with her in Ontario, and then our reps in the East and West support that. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, 2022 is when we exited the rigid container business. That part was sold to another company, so that company still exists completely independent of us now. In January 2024, I guess it's the next sort of evolution of the Andicor business. Steve, John, and Ron sold the business to a new partnership group, mm-hmm. Who also own a similar chemical distribution business in the U.S. called Lintech International. John's remained with the business. He's the president of Andicor, and basically the full team here is effectively intact. We've had a couple of retirements, but we're running very much as we did before. Some integration of systems and so sure. on.
Yeah.
We have a COO who's joined the executive team with John and with our VP of Sales, Jamie, who you've spoken to before.
Yes.
But the business very much continues on. We continue to grow. Some new suppliers have joined the fold, which we'll talk about a little bit later, of course. Right.
Very good. So your company, even though it's grown and evolved, it's got longevity, and seeing people retire from the company instead of walk away, that's always a good sign and nice. So yep. a good, stable company basically is the bottom line.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, one thing I can kind of stress is our team as well is 75% of our employees are in customer-facing roles too. Okay. So very, very sort of proactive with the customer. And yeah, among our sales team, only salespeople left the company have been through retirements over the years. So it's been it's been a good long-term group of people.
Good stuff. Well, yeah. I guess giving you an opportunity to expand upon that, I know you mentioned the chemical foaming from Bergen. Can you give us a rundown of the major product lines that you have?
Yeah, it kind of falls under two categories. So plastics processing and then plastic compounding, so slash master batch color concentrate. So on the processing side, it's Bergen. That's the main product line that we focus in on that industry, and we've had great growth with them over the years. They are similar to Andicor, privately held company with a few business partners, actually former colleagues of the Andicor founders. They all worked for kind of the same parent company before in
Okay, I
different
see.
divisions.
Yep.
So they know each other quite well, and similarly, their business has just grown over the years. They've been a great company to work with. Very hands-on. Their technical director travels up here frequently. Spent a lot of time with one of the founders over a number of years as well. They're always available to attend customer trials. Been in a number of plant trials with them, and it's just a great group of people to work with, and a great product line.
Super.
Uh,
Well,
so
that's actually how I got connected with your organization,
mhm.
bringing this and talking to the Bergen folks and getting a sample coordinated for one of my customers. So hopefully we can bring that deal home sooner than later. But the other product lines, I mean, when we met and you shared all of the products that Andicor carries, it's quite a long
Mhm.
list. Can you touch on some of those?
Absolutely, yeah. So on the other side of our business, where we focus on color concentrates, compounding, and so on, one of the main areas is our pigment suppliers. We in the last 10 years have developed an incredible sort of strength in that area. We represent three of the largest in the industry, in some of the key areas. So Orion Engineered Carbons and our Carbon Black. We've repped them for a number of years now. They're, of course, the former Degussa Carbon Black business and Devonic Carbon Black business. So, products everyone kind of knows and appreciates.
Mm-hmm.
We've grown their business considerably over the years, and they're good products. Our customers certainly like very much. Sudarshan as well, another key player in the business. And the history with Andicor Sudarshan is we became the Heubach distributor a number of years back. This was the legacy Heubach. So just their sort of original products,
Mm-hmm.
or basically organic pigments, mixed metal oxides, and on for the other areas of our company, like anti-corrosive pigments. So Heubach, of course, a few years ago purchased the Clariant organic pigment business.
Okay.
That line ultimately came to Andicor last February, where we became the distributor for the full product line. So everything Legacy Heubach and Legacy Clariant. And later this year, we will be the Sudarshan distributor in Canada, so covering all three, basically, of those legacy product lines to our customers.
Very
So we're
good.
quite excited about that. And they have been, through all their iterations, an incredible supportive supplier. And again, with well-known products in the industry that people want to work with. So we're very excited about that.
Great.
Our other larger pigment supplier is Oxera. And Oxera goes back to Cathay Industries. We've been representing them for a number of years. So originally just the Cathay products and the Hoover products. Cathay had acquired Hoover, I think, a few years before they started working with Andicor.
Mm-hmm.
So Cathay is all iron oxides. Hoover has sort of natural sort of raw embers, those types of products. Again, all three of these suppliers, large key suppliers to us as a business, and they're all growing. Cathay, of course, acquired the Venator iron oxide business about 2 years ago, and very quickly gave the combined line to Andicor. And we continue to just grow with those guys. Also on the pigment side, we represent CQV, who are manufacturer pearlescent and metallic pigments. Supplier, we've been repping them actually the longest of all the pigment suppliers we have. And prior to the sort of big three guys joining us, we'd repped a few other we dabbled a bit in the organic pigments and inorganics as well, too, and of course have worked through with CQV throughout. And again, all these companies have products that cross our product lines as a business. I guess one thing I didn't mention earlier on is Andicor, as well as selling into the plastics industry. We sell into the case industries, the coatings, adhesives, sealants, and elastomers, into the ink industry. I did mention personal care, of course, and these guys have products basically that go into all these industries. So a lot of synergy for us as an organization, and they've helped us grow throughout the company. So yeah, I mean, we tick virtually all the boxes, or most of the boxes, with pigments. The only exceptions really that kind of stick out for me is we don't have a TiO2 line, and we don't currently represent a fluorescent pigment line. But yeah, perhaps areas of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, moving on from pigments, we also have a number of suppliers in the additive space. One of these is PatChem. It's a company we've been working with for a number of years on their kind of and other industrial sort of coatings markets. In the last few years, we've been working with them on their basic additives for PVC plastisol and heat stabilizer product line as well. This is something that we're starting to kind of develop a bit more with them. Excellent product line, and certainly a PVC market is a sizable market in Canada of companies that work with PVC.
Yes. Yeah.
Through Lintech, we've gained some joint supplier relationships. Sudershen's actually one of them. They represented originally Clariant in the U.S., and then about a year before us gained the combined Heubach line, and they're going to be representing Sudershen fully a little bit before we are before the end of this year. So we have that shared product line. Gives us some synergy between the two companies, as well, two sister companies as well. We can we're needed to share stock, share expertise and resources, and so on. Another supplier similar to that is Songwon on the sort of UV light stabilizer antioxidant side. Their relationship with Lintech on the plastic side has come to Andicor as well. So again, something we can promote alongside the pigments quite effectively. It's a good sort of package kind of thing with that. I've interacted a bit with the people from Songwon since the partnership started at the NP, at CAD Retech, and so on, and just by email and phone, and that in the interim, and they're a great group of people to work with.
Great.
Sasol joined our supplier stable as well around the same time, again through their connection with our sister company. They produce Fischer-Tropsch waxes, and these can be used as alternative PE waxes and plastic compounds and master batches and so on. A little bit of a more expensive product line, but also, performance-wise, kind of, I guess, matches that cost difference.
Right.
They have a product line called their Enhance, which is targeted at color concentrates and master batch. So this is something we're starting to introduce to our customers and talk a bit more about. And mineral suppliers as well. We've been working with HPF Quartzwork out of Germany for a number of years now, and they supply value-added mineral fillers, so willastonite, feldspar, some sort of value-added kaolins, used in filled compounds. They also produce a line of additives specifically for environmental films as well, and we've had a couple of projects as a company with them in that space. Incoa joined us again through our sister company. They produce their miner of calcium carbonate. They got an interesting story. The mine's in the Dominican Republic. It's a fairly kind of low impact, relatively environmentally friendly extraction process they use.
Okay.
They give back to the local community. The processing happens in the U.S. It's brought by barge to Mobile in Alabama, where they process it, and then it's sent out to market North America from there. On the plastic side, they offer a grade that's kind of a non-yellowing type targeted at the PVC industry. So this is something that we've been talking to our PVC accounts about, and and also to our other plastics accounts. Yellowing is an issue across different resins.
Yep.
So something I'm sure we both run into with our customers.
Yes, matter of fact, I'm dealing with an issue on that right now. The solution in this case is to turn everything black before they extrude it. But yeah, I understand the problems you're talking about.
Absolutely. And of course, Songwan comes back into that side of things as well. Their additives, again, are, again, help with that, protection of the plastics, especially outdoors and so on. So it's again, it's a good product line we can kind of promote alongside the Incoa line and our pigments. Trinity Performance Minerals, we're working with them for a few years. They're a Canadian-based mining company, mines in Newfoundland, and they mine pyrophyllite, which is very similar to talc. Okay. It's got some of the same characteristics, but it doesn't have the same health dusting risks. So, something we promote to our customers, along with obviously a domestic source as well. So it's something that's kind of intrigued our customers. We've had a few projects, including a master batch company that has kind of run some trials with the production trials with the material and so on. So it's something we hope to help them grow their market. They're working on some direct business in central Canada as well. And as sort of larger scale business develops for them, they have an agreement with the Port of Hamilton to build a plant. So the plan is to bring the raw pyrophyllite by barge to Hamilton and process here, and then they're close to market.
Very good.
Their mine site in Newfoundland, and trucking from Newfoundland is relatively inexpensive to central Canada. There's a lot of loads that go out, but not a whole lot that come back. So the companies offer apparently very competitive rates.
Sure, on the backhaul. Yeah.
In addition to that, a longtime mineral supplier of ours has been Southeastern Performance Minerals. They're originally Georgia Industrial Minerals. So mine's in Georgia, and it's various grades of mica, basically, that they mine and process. We sold that a bit into plastics. We sell it on the coating side of our business as well. Powder coatings industry buys a fair bit, and there's some synergy and similarities in process between powder coatings, of course, and master batch, the way the kind of extruders and that they use. So it's in fact in Ontario, a number of the powder coating accounts are in my territory, sort of for that reason. So, but they've been a supportive supplier. Mica is an inexpensive product, so and they've been competitive for us, which has been fantastic.
Right.
And then another very long time supplier of Andicor in the plastic side that we do a little bit with them anyways in the plastic side is Fuji Silesia. Okay. They manufacture colloidal silicas, and they I guess in plastics, it's kind of promoted anti-block type applications.
Okay.
So we've talked to our customers about that, I guess, like film and so on. And we do a significant amount of business with them in the coating side of our business as well. Of course, it's they've been, again, a long time, very supportive supplier.
Good.
So, in addition to these companies, of course, Andicor is always interested in speaking to potential sort of complementary, non-competing suppliers.
Sure.
Looking for a distribution partner in the Canadian market. In some areas where we certainly have gaps in our product line. I mentioned a couple of them already. We don't have a TiO2 or a fluorescent pigments line. And fire retardant additives as well, something that we've talked about over the years too, an area that would maybe be interested in expanding into.
Right. Well, if what you've given us a highly detailed description, and thank you for that. There is an awful lot of additives that Andicor can provide, no question. But if you want your customer base to think of maybe one word or one phrase to describe Andicor, what would that be, do you think?
Well, it's really a couple of different things. I guess where I've always felt, having worked in the industry before, and I've worked for a few incredible companies, to Andicor as, I guess, a smaller to mid-sized distributor, I think has brought a couple of advantages to the market. Firstly, our level of customer service. We're able to make decisions quickly as a company. Everyone in the organization has a direct line to our president, John Rolleveld, and of course our VP of Sales, Jamie Dinsmore. So decisions get made really fast. Generally sort of day-to-day decisions, and there's a great deal of empowerment through the organization to do what we need to do, to service our customers. But the occasional sort of larger decision needs to be made. I can. John's door is always open. Jamie's door is always open. I can walk in and talk to them. I can pick the phone up anytime and call them, and we'll get things done. And that's continued under our current management structure as well. It's and John. We have a lineup to the CEO and senior management in the U.S. too. But it's very, very still largely locally focused, and decisions get made here. Secondly, as an extension of this, and I talked actually a little bit of this already in the first part when we were talking. Minimal turnover among my colleagues.
Yes.
Andicor's been a great company to work for. Under the original ownership and now under the new ownership as well. And like I mentioned, 75% of our team is customer facing too, so we're all very much invested in, basically, the end goal, which is to, service, plastics, coatings, etc. industries in Canada, and and that comes across to our customers as well, and often lots of compliments come back. Yeah. So we're makes me happy, and certainly makes everyone else in the company happy too.
Yeah, back in my Schulman days, there were very few people who left the company. Most of us were right there until the bitter end, the first time at least. And then after that, a couple of other iterations of the company existed. But it's a very good, healthy sign when people stick around. It says a lot about a positive work culture. So that's fantastic, and it's nice to see another Canadian company that sort of lives that and embraces it. Mm-hmm. Now, you've talked again a lot about your product lines, but I suspect I know what you're going to or how you're going to answer this. But if you have one go-to product, would that be your Bergen, the chemical foaming agents?
Definitely in the mix there. It's difficult to narrow it down completely just because of the breadth of our sort of representation in the two different areas, I guess, sectors of the plastics industry, but certainly on the processing side, absolutely Bergen. We've grown with them over the entire history of the company, and they just really have been such a fantastic supplier to work with. Like you said, you've interacted with them already. Yes. As well, so you've seen what they can do, and it's a company I look forward to continue to working with for many years as a supplier. Now on the compounding side, again, I think we've built an industry-leading product offering, like I said before, on the pigment side. Oxera, Orion, Sudarshan, and CQV, all great suppliers. Mm-hmm. And a little over 10 years ago, we were relatively small player in that business. We're now, a very significant player in that business in Canada, and that's no small part because of the support basically given to us by these suppliers. Great commercial teams, great technical teams, hands-on with our customers. I've been in to see customers with all of them over the last number of years. I've had one of them has run some technical seminars for my customers as well, and it's been fantastic. A lot of there's lab support available to our customers from our suppliers too. So they've really kind of shone in that area. But again, complemented by all of our growing portfolio of additive suppliers as well. Their products are great products, great suppliers, and form a great package with the pigments right. to our compounding customers.
So we're coming to the end of the show. Is there anything else you might like to add or share a success story? And, keep in mind, we just have a minute or so before we've got to get it wrapped up. But is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, with our suppliers, we've had, we've had a lot of longevity with them, and every distributor, occasionally we lose a supplier, mm-hmm. but with Andicor, we've never lost one due to a performance issue. It's always been related to either consolidation sure. at the supplier end. Suppliers bought a supplier, maybe bought another one, and so on, and ultimately the lead in that group goes with their their pre-existing distributor in Canada.
Yeah.
Although that hasn't, in the case of Suderson, for example, that hasn't always been the case. So we benefited there too. So that kind of thing happens. But I guess one sort of success story from that area, we're going to talk about from another area of our business. 2011, when we got into the consumer care business, a very large supplier joined the organization as our key supplier in that area. Significant sales. A few years on, they consolidated as the large sort of chemical multinationals. They consolidated with a single distributor in Canada, and that wasn't Andicor, unfortunately. But again, very complimentary of what our company had done for them. It was also a small, actually decent sized industrial line that we had with them too. So both those lines went. Within about 2 years, we had grown the business, our business up beyond the sales levels we had with that supplier at the time. So just the nimble nature of being able to basically go out and recoup that business through our existing supplier base, through gaining some other new suppliers in that time too, and growing those. It's just a kind of a testament to the team, I think, that we have here. Great group of colleagues to work with.
Good. And that's a great way to end it. That says a lot about the company, and it certainly is an organization you can not only be proud to work for and represent, but certainly one you can feel 100% confident buying from. Brett, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure, meeting you a few weeks ago after, some correspondence, and it's been a lot of fun having you on the show. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kurt. Again, I appreciate you having me on the podcast, and I was excited when you extended the invitation. So, thanks again.
No problem. And that's it for another episode of That Plastics Guy. Again, I'd like to thank Brett Minken from Andicor Specialty Chemicals for taking the time to be on the show today. If you would like to learn more about Andicor's products, I'll make sure we have Brett's contact information in the show notes for you. If you have any questions or comments about the show or a suggestion for upcoming episodes, please contact me either personally through That Plastics Guy on LinkedIn, and while you're there, you can follow me too. Consider following That Plastics Guy on YouTube and Simcoe Plastics on Facebook and Instagram. We're doing some tweaking with our social media feeds now, and hopefully we'll be able to get some better, more focused content out, because quite frankly, up to this point, it's simply been me doing it all, and it's time for someone else to interject some freshness to the social media feeds. You can subscribe to our newsletter through the website, simcoplastics.com, and our June newsletter went out just about 2 weeks ago by the time you hear this, and I was really pleased again with the efforts of our marketing department to put out another quality piece of communication. And in that newsletter, we introduce Sulapac and talk about our coming up collaboration with them and their biopolymers. So thanks again for listening. Take care, and let's be good to each other.